All right, so good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the listeners of Inspiring Educators. Again, this is your host, Brian, and this time, we're very lucky, guys, because I got another Filipina educator. All right, she's one of the hosts of the recently concluded MOOC about the TESOL methodology from the University of Maryland in Baltimore County. And without further ado, let's all welcome Miss Alcasid. Miss Alcasid, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Sir Brian. I'm doing great right now. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak on behalf of every Filipino educators. And I'm so lucky to and privileged to be interviewed by you.
Wow, you deserve to be part of this, Miss Alcacid, as I've saw your amazing hosting skills and your wonderful ideas during our outreach activity. So I'm very happy and honored as well that I got your yes to be part of this podcast. Now, let's get started, Miss Alcacid, with my first question. So me and my listeners are interested. Who is Miss Alcacid?
Well, thank you. Before I proceed to my curriculum vitae or to my educational background, let me just tell you something. You know, right? I'm a trans woman. I'm a 26 years old. I'm a 26 years old. I'm a trans woman, and it's difficult in the Philippines nowadays to belong in the LGBTQ plus IA community where we have the high standard for all educators. But hence, there is gender and development, or what we call gender and development here in the Philippines, that promotes equality and inequity for all people who work in the academic and in the education industry. So basically, I am Alan Alcasid. I am a self-directed person, an enthusiastic educator with a passionate commitment to student development and the learning experience itself. I possesses an outstanding instructional abilities with a strong interpersonal skills because at times I possess a strong interpersonal skills because it is my way of establishing rapport to my students, to my colleagues, and to my profession. I possesses a work ethics aims to provide stimulating learning environment that encourages my students to trust their own opinions while fostering their confidence in order to realize their full potentials. I always encourage my students, and I also employ the teaching methodologies that I am so grateful that I was able to acquire those skills and abilities and enhance more my teaching methodologies in teaching English to other speakers, and I influence the youth with the way I possesses the love for learning and then the desire for constant knowledge within each of my students. So basically, that's something I'm gonna describe myself as a professional educator. I have a bachelor's degree in secondary education, major in English. I've been in the teaching industry for almost 5 years. I had a professional experience in teaching collegiate students or college students, as well as with senior high school students, and even handling junior high school and elementary students. I was engaged with that as well. And also, I was engaged with some events like seminars, school programs, school accreditations, and I'm also a licensed professional teacher that made me eligible to be in the public school here in the Philippines. And I'm currently finishing my graduate studies at the Laguna State Polytechnic University and hoping to pursue my doctorate degree right after this grad school. And I'm still in the process of engaging myself much more with trainings and seminars. I have attended the recent international research conference, and still, due to this pandemic, we have so much of the seminars that we have here in public school. So, with the trainings, it's it's like simultaneous training there, training here, seminar there. I'm very lucky to have those kinds of opportunities, and I believe those opportunities equip me to become an effective educator. That's it.
Wow. Very detailed introduction, Miss Alcacid. All I can say right now is wow, because you are so detailed. We're just getting started. So I believe that our episode will be really exciting. And just to share with our listeners, all right, I really love the people within your sector, Miss Alcacid, if you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, because you are the most outspoken, the most happy persons to be with. That's why I really love to be, to be surrounded with those kinds of people. And I don't care whatever your gender, as long as you have that positivity where I already saw it with you. And I'm really happy. I'm just, I'm not expecting with that kind of introduction, but it was really powerful. Not Yeah, your, the curriculum vitae that you've mentioned is really important, but then the very first statements that you've mentioned really caught me and my listeners' attention. So this is a really great start, Miss Alcacid.
Wow, thank you so much.
All right, so let's go on, Miss Alcacid, with my second question for this evening. So, uh, of all the professions that we had, there are engineers, there are nurse, there are even, beauty queens. So why did you decide, Miss Alcacid, to choose the path of an educator? Can you share us your wonderful journey, please?
Actually, I really wanted to become an actress,
Amazing.
a superstar,
That's
a
cool.
multimedia star.
That's
But
nice to hear.
my skills and my talents are not inclined with that. That's why I became a teacher.
That's
But it's a journey of it's a life. It's a kind of journey that I must say something personal with me, because I remember when I was a kid, I used to play with my cousins, with my siblings. I used to be the teacher, and they used to be my students. I portray that kind of scenario that I used to figure out when I was in grade school, something like that. So when I entered college, I really don't know what type of course I'm gonna pursue. My aunt told me, "Oh, you're good in English, so why don't you take up home arts?" And then I took up home arts, and I feel like there's an empty space in me that's really calling me to be in the teaching industry. That's why I have decided, why am I not try to pursue what I have been pursuing since I was a kid, becoming a teacher. Then the journey started there. So I shifted from AB communication student to BS Ed English student. And then I love the process. I love, my favorite subjects are professional education subjects. I am very active with those subjects. I'm very participative with my professors, with my classmates back then. I really enjoyed the process of becoming a student teacher. And I ended up with a profession because it's not just a profession for me. For me, it is a vocation. Because if we're gonna talk about yes, you're right. Why am I not an engineer, a nurse, or a businesswoman? Why I ended up becoming a teacher? And for me, it is a calling. It is a calling, and you pursue this profession not because for money, not because of salary, not because of recognition. You pursue this profession because you have the vision. You have the vision to inspire the youth, to educate the people, and for you to be inspired as well as a teacher, because we learn from each other. And for me, these indicators helped me realize that this is my calling. You know what, Brad? I actually took a break in teaching because I really wanted to try something. I really wanted to pursue something. But if this is your calling, this is your calling. You cannot go beyond it. You cannot try any direction. But if this is your calling, this is your calling. And for me, even if we all know that being a teacher is a 24/7 kind of job. At times, your personal space would get interlude because of your professional calling. And, it's not just an 8-hour teaching load. It's not just you go to school, teach, and then go home. No, at times we do administrative duties, we do extension duties, we attend seminars, we pursue grad schools. We have so many things to do for us to be fully equipped for our learners. And we have so much to do for our learners privilege, I mean, because we prepare lesson plans, we plan how to execute our lessons, we assess them, we facilitate them, we discipline them. It's an all-around duty. But if this is not your calling, then it's not for you. And teaching is my calling. So that's just how I ended up with this profession. Because at times I would ask myself, why I choose this profession? I'm not earning that much. Why I choose this profession? It's so tasky. But you know, for me, being in the teaching industry and teaching the youth, inspiring the youth, it feels like I'm not working because I love my job. And when you love your job, it feels like you're just enjoying what you're doing. So that's it. That's how I ended up with this profession.
Wow, that's really an amazing journey, Miss Alcacid. And like what you mentioned at the start of the second question, I consider you, all right, and my listeners already considered you as a star, a superstar, but in the educational path that you're currently taking now. So you're still a star for everyone and also for all your students.
I At times my student would copy me, and that's a very difficult expectation about teachers. At times they would uh, copy the way you look like, the way you speak, the way you act or behave. That's why being a teacher also helped me become a person who I am right now. Because as as a teenager before, I was so fond of spending much time with my friends, going out. But when I became a teacher, I realized the essence of, because it being a teacher helps me really to become a good person, really, because we have so much high expectations about teachers here in the Philippines. That's why I don't want my students to tell me, oh, Miss Alcasid is doing like this. How can she inspire people? How can she educate the youth if she's doing this, doing that? So I started correcting what needs to be corrected. So it helps me in a personal way, and it helps me in a professional way as well, because oftentimes I would tell myself I have achieved so much in the teaching industry because not everyone would pass the board in just one take. And I'm very lucky because I have the calm skills, I have the guts to speak in front, I have these skills and these abilities, and I just focus on what abilities and skills that I excel. Because a lot of my friends would tell me, that they don't like their job. They don't like their job. They wanted to pursue something, and they're just very envious about me because I'm doing the job that I really wanted to do.
Wow, that's really nice to hear, Miss Alcacid. And once again, your journey was really worthwhile because you are now in this profession where you are already inspiring. And I love the idea that you mentioned that you are now trying to become a better person because we are inspiring young minds that who knows would follow our footsteps. So, a really inspiring journey, Miss Alcacid. And now, to move with my third question, all right? So it's not here in the Philippines, okay? Or what I want to say is that it is not only us who experience these difficult times, the pandemic situation, and the transition from the traditional face to face classroom. Now we are doing an online distance learning. So I would like to know, Miss Alcacid, how do you transition your, let's say, a negative day into a positive day? How do you make yourself become a positive educator?
You know what, Sir Bright? It's kind of difficult to adapt in the new norm, especially in the academe. It's really hard because we were trained to become an educator in a face-to-face setup. And part of that training, of course, is to be able to be innovative and creative individuals or teachers because um, we should expect the unexpected. And as teachers, I would see myself being so adaptive in everything. They say that change is the only constant in this world. And that is right because we don't expect this pandemic. We don't expect that we will pause for a while, continue education through online. And if I would get into that situation, if I would be get carried away in that kind of situation, it would put so much burden and negativity in me. What I did during this pandemic is to prepare myself for another learning, for another opportunity to be able to learn some teaching methodologies in terms of continuing education in this pandemic. As a teacher, as a traditional teacher, I'm not fond of using Google Classroom. I'm not fond of using Zoom, Skype, for as long as that I have my PowerPoint presentation and I have my marker with me, I could execute my lesson. But now, I I allotted a space or I leave space for another venture of learning. How am I continue learning or how am I continue teaching using online platform? That is why all those trainings and seminars are very relevant for us teachers. You know, they help us fully be equipped in terms of continuing our teaching methodologies, teaching strategies, but there's a pros and cons. I will tell you this. When we started this pandemic, it was my very first question was, how are we going to facilitate our learners? As a teacher, I do not just teach the content. I teach my students to be disciplined about their deadline. I teach them all about courtesy, manners, good conduct because I've been dealing with teenagers. And we all know that teenagers have teenage days are hard to handle. Or teenagers are hard to handle. And you have to align your teaching methodologies and strategies to the way they learn, to the way they behave nowadays. But what more if you're gonna put it in the blended learning? So it was hard. My very first question was, how am I going to facilitate my learner? But like I said earlier, with the trainings and seminars and preparations that I was able to have during the lockdown, it helped me. It helped me fully be equipped in executing my lessons. You know, um, as a teacher, you just have to be positive in terms of dealing with negativity because we educate people we inspire people, and we ought to be positive at all times. Where do you get that positivity? You will get that positivity on how you motivate yourself as a person, as a professional, and as an individual. You know, I'm a very enthusiastic type of person wherein I always look at the brighter side of everything that's happening around me. During this pandemic, I did not uh, worry about how are we going to continue education. What I worry about, of course, is the health of everyone, the safety of everyone. But hence to that pandemic, we survived and we're continuing it. And we're looking at the brighter side of everything, the hope that one day we will go back to the face to face teaching. One day, when these are all gone, we'll be able to balance the blended learning. Because here in the Philippines, at times, we suspend classes because of typhoons. Why not continue those blended learning due to because of typhoon or because of the calamity? Because in Japan, they've been doing that. In Japan, they've been practicing blended learning when there's an earthquake, when there's a typhoon. They used to pursue blended learning. They are not just focused on the face to face or the traditional kind of schooling, but they were open about Google Classroom, online teaching, and so on and so forth. So I guess it is still a blessing in disguise in the Philippine education that we expanded our horizons in terms of teaching, in terms of educating the youth. So let me go back to your question, so Bryce, staying positive due to this pandemic in terms of pursuing the blended learning that we have right now. You just have to look at the brighter side of everything. Look for the hope. There's hope, actually. There's hope in every situation. And it is not the end of everything. As educators, we need to be innovative, we need to be creative, and we need to embrace changes. Because you know what, Sir Brian, I know a lot of traditional teachers who really gave up their profession because they do not adapt into the new norm in teaching, which is the blended learning that we have right now. I know some who've been in the teaching industry for 35 years, for 40 years, and they used to give up because they cannot operate a computer. They're not fond of teaching in face of their laptop. And it's very alarming as a teacher. And my advice to the young educators right now is that always embrace change, because change is the only constant in this world, especially in education.
That was really another amazing idea of how you shifted in this new normal that we're facing. And I love the positivity that you're already imbibing when it comes to shifting a certain day that you're not feeling that well, but then because of your ability, your enthusiasm when it comes to teaching, it seems that you are really well equipped. But you mentioned a while ago, Miss Alcasid, that you're sort of a traditional teacher. You must just have a PowerPoint and then a marker. But then you suddenly shifted because of our job, our task. We must know how to adapt. And I love that idea that you've just mentioned. That was really remarkable, Miss Alcacid.
Thank you so much.
All right. Now, for my final question, Miss Alcacid. All right. So, we're really interested, most, or not most, but all of my guests, I'm always asking, how do they inspire their learners? What's their secret? What's their magic? So this time we would like to know, how does Miss Alcacid do in the classroom? How does she inspire her learners?
You know what? When we talk about inspiration, it's let me define inspiration based on my own description. No? Inspiration for me is being able to give you a motivation to do further, to continue what you do. And as a teacher, it's hard to inspire people if you yourself is not inspired. If you do not motivate yourself, you will not be able to motivate your learners or your students. Why and how I inspire my students? I do it with a lifestyle of living. I do it with the way I live, the way I show them how I should live as a person, as a personal, as a professional individual. You know, I've been always telling my students that I've been through that way. I know how it feels, but look at me right now. I've been pursuing my profession because, like I said earlier, I've been dealing with teenagers and they are not really fun. Some of them are not really fond of studying and learning. They just wanted to go out, mingle, and party and so on. But I always tell my students that I've been through that. You know, you cannot inspire people if you do not immerse yourself with the way they are feeling. You know, we all experience being a teenager, and I always put myself in their situation, especially when it comes to giving deadlines. I always encourage them to voice out, when do you want our deadline? When do you want to submit your output? It's always a collaborative agreement when I impose deadlines. So with that, they will be able to get inspired that their voice is heard. So for me, that's empowerment because you consider your learners, you consider their capabilities, their strength, their weaknesses, and their needs as well. Because as a teenager, they have so many deadlines to meet up. And I always encourage them, don't worry about my subject, I will adjust. But hence, of course, you should adjust as my student. So I always do that kind of strategy, and I feel like it's very effective. And another thing that I'll be able to inspire my students, like I said earlier, it's about lifestyle. You know, as I've said earlier, we should be a role model, or we are the role model for our learners. So how can you be a role model to your learners if you are not the type of person who is positive, who continue to learn, who do good things, and who validates what's right and what's wrong? And with that, I guess I possesses those kinds of abilities, or those characteristics. Let me give you this example. I've been attending this church for quite some time because I'm a born again Christian. I'm a Christian, by the way. I've been attending this church for quite some time, and every Sunday, I used to post that I attended a church. I attended the service, I heard the preaching, and so on and so forth. And then I used to post that on my social media account. And I've been seeing my students, Mom, what happened to the church? What have you learned? And then they really look forward to what I learned in church, that I'll be able to share it in my class. You know? And I promote healthy living. And I would see my students that they would be looking for vegetables, fruits, and they really adapt what you possess. They really adapt what you do. And for me, again, it's lifestyle. It's the way you see life, the way you inspire yourself, the way you motivate yourself. Like I said earlier, you cannot motivate your students if you are not motivated. You cannot inspire people if you are not inspired. So you just have to look every areas of your life where you are inspired, where you are motivated, and you will extract your motivation from that aspect. Say, for example, about family, about love life or relationship, about your faith, about your hobbies or your profession. You extract the inspiration, you extract the motivation, and it will reflect to the way you you do what you do in your life. So that's all. That's how I inspire my students.
Wow, that's really nice, Miss Alcasid. As if you wanted to say walk the talk, right? You just
Yes, walk
do
the talk.
you just do what you usually do, and definitely those who are around you, which are your students, would definitely imitate you. So that's how important us teachers, the way we show ourselves. And I love the idea that you mentioned, extract the things that you have in yourself. If you are a motivating person, if you are an inspiring person, well, definitely you could share it with others. So it's somehow you wanted to say that, be just be yourself, do something good, and eventually it would follow. Am I right?
Yes, yes. It will reflect actually. It will reflect to the way you interact with other people.
That's perfect. And that's an inspiring educator, Miss Alcacid. So that was really a very informative yet heartwarming episode, because you gave examples, you are very detailed, and me and my listeners really enjoyed the the story that you shared with us. So what I usually do at the end of my episodes, Miss Alcazid, is that I give my podcast floor to my guest speaker, and then they could, give us their final thoughts, share some quotes, anything that you would like to promote in order for them, to follow you and be inspired of who you really are. So right now, Miss Alcacid, I'm giving you my podcast floor. Go ahead, please.
But before I proceed with that, Sir Brian, I would like to thank you for this opportunity to be a voice from the community where I belong. But like I said earlier, it's so difficult in the Philippine setup before to be in the teaching industry where discriminations are always there. And you just have to take the leap of faith and be brave enough to be able to pursue what you'd like to pursue. At the end of the day, my objective is not just for myself. My objective is to inspire my students, to educate the youth, and to be able to create a future professionals in this country. That we have this saying here in the Philippines that the youth is the hope of our country. Yes, it is indeed true. But then again, the role of the teachers and the educators has a lot to say when it comes to producing future professionals in a country. I would just like to encourage your listeners, our listeners right now, to pursue what you'd like to pursue. Whether it is for teaching or not, for as long as that you are pursuing the kind of profession that you really wanted to, or your heart's desire to, then do it so. Because you will know eventually that you're not just working. You enjoy what you do, you love what you do, and it feels like you're living your dream with you. And that's what I'm having right now. I'm living a dream with me. Although I have a lot of dreams that I really wanted to have. But then again, I always see to it that whatever happened, I am living with my dream right now. So I'm encouraging each and every one of you that you should not give up with your dream. You pursue what you want to pursue, and always take the leap of faith. Embrace changes, which change is the only constant thing in this world, and always choose to learn, to live, and to love. That's also right.
Thank you so much. A very wonderful episode with you, Miss Alcasid. And since this is a one-man team, okay, from the bottom of my heart, all right, Miss Alcasid, thank you very much. I really love this. Is one of the best episodes that I have because you just not speak because you're an educator right now, but you express yourself as a wonderful person, okay? A person who
You're
has a
right.
heart. A person who has a heart, and you're very outspoken, Miss Alcacid. Me and my listeners really enjoyed this, and I hope this is not just the last time that we can talk with you, because I also have two other podcasts. The other one is the Internet Life, which talks about any I'm interviewing anyone, and they would just share how did the internet change their life. And I also have movie cast wherein my guests would share the movie that moves them personally. So once again, Miss Alcacid, thank you very much. Okay, and I'll speak in our native language. Isa kang bayani, Miss Alcacid. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Brian. And from our language as well, mabuhay ka. Maraming salamat.
All right, no worries. So that's it. This is a really wonderful episode, as you've heard, to one of the greatest. I would consider Miss Alcacid as one of the greatest teacher right now that I've interviewed, because she has this knowledge, this strength, okay, to showcase the talent of not just a Filipino teacher, but an educator who love what she's doing. Once again, this is your host, Brian, and thanks for listening to another episode of Inspiring Educators. I'll see you next episode. Bye, Miss Alcacid.
Bye.